Look for the glimpse of, of hope and resilience in people. It's not only me who's trying to change the narrative of the visuals coming from the continent, but it's really in our hand to guide the viewer's eye.
Analysts say that Western photojournalism has historically played a significant role in shaping global perceptions of Africa, often perpetuating stereotypes and misrepresentations. They say that even in contemporary times, many Western photojournalists, despite good intentions, unintentionally replicate these patterns, their focus often skewing towards themes of poverty, conflict, and disaster. Cameroon-based photographer and visual storyteller Emily Pinna says that this one-sided framing often overshadows Africa's diversity and progress. She joins me to talk about her photo book titled Thriving Africa, Dynamic Creativity, which she says counters some of the negative representation of the African continent.
So in my life, I always had two passions. One was making a difference, having an impact, and photography, design, and so on. And I would either work in one field or the other. It was really just during my master's at MICA in 2014 in social design that I was able to marry these two. Mm-hmm. And I came up with what I call now visual storytelling. So I'm telling the stories visually of projects and the impact of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you choose your subjects or your topics or your projects? Are there any specific qualities that you look for that you feel will resonate with the viewers?
Yeah, well, so often I'm approached by different UN agencies who have a very clear idea of the success stories they want to tell. Mm. However, what makes my work different than from other people, I really only focus on a positive narrative. Okay. I will never compromise the dignity of the people I take pictures of, and it's always like, even in the most desperate situations, I look for the perspective and the angle of resilience and hope.
So you work in Yaoundé, but also across West Africa. What unique aspects do you look for when you're trying to capture these these places? And what have you learned about photography and visual storytelling?
Wow, that's a deep question here. I look for the glimpse of of hope and resilience in people. It's really, I'm focusing on people. That's really my main focus. And I also really focus on showing a different side of Africa. Yeah. Right?
You have a new book here, Thriving Africa, coffee table book. I was just looking through some amazing photos here. Tell us about this book.
Yeah, so the book, as you can see, is called Thriving Africa, Dynamic Creativity, because 80% of the visuals coming from the continent are poverty, war, disasters. 20%, best case scenario, safari and folklore, but enabled, empowered Africa, creative Africa, innovative Africa is really underrepresented. And so with this book, I want to make a difference. And the idea is not only the book, but it is also having exhibitions and create roundtable discussions and so on around this topic, right?
When did you start? When did you work on this? This year?
So this book, I launched it a year ago, almost a year, self-published. It's a collection of pictures I took for the past 7 years, because I've been the official photographer for the CCMC fashion incubator for
So you're based in Yaoundé.
I am based in Yaoundé.
What drew you into Yaoundé?
Well, one thing led to another, one assignment led to another one, and
So you're now permanently based on the continent.
I am permanently based on the continent.
Yeah, I always say that the continent is such visually rich, and wherever you look, you can take an amazing photo.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid caricaturing people or demeaning people, as you say, in your photography, so that people, when somebody's looking at it and they're interpreting it, they're not taking out the wrong message?
Yeah. So my work is really based on empathy. So what I do, and that's why I'm not a journalist or photographer, I'm a visual storyteller. So what I first do, I sit with the people. I don't even take my camera out. I sit and I listen. I ask questions, I listen to their stories, find some personal, connection. It's really about creating a relationship of trust. And so people open up, they show me their houses and so on. I really believe that empathy is the most important thing. In my pictures, for me, photography is about evoking emotions, but it's the emotion of compassion and empathy, never pity, right? So it's really about preserving the dignity of the person. So
you said to be able to gain people's trust, to allow you even in their space, you sit with them, you don't take out the camera.
Yeah.
Well, what happens why did you choose that way? Because what happens when you take out the camera first? What is the reaction people have usually?
Oh, then they're like, no, because, there have been too many people, too many journalists coming, snapping pictures, taking something away from the people and run. And nobody knows what they're doing with the image. People have the right, first of all, to say yes or no to a picture. At the end of the day, they love seeing their pictures and seeing a positive story about themselves. Right?
What medium, what camera do you use? Do you have a specific camera that you use?
I have a Canon R5. Yeah, love it.
And do portrait work, fashion.
Yeah.
I see that you do some traditional. I see people wearing traditional clothing. Obviously, we'll show that. Yeah. But what are some of the lessons you've learned in your time in West Africa in terms of how you frame a narrative visually? For
me, it's all really about being authentic. I mean, trying to reveal the authenticity of the people.
A person. Yeah.
But what I also started doing, and doing it a lot, is I started a masterclass, a phone photography masterclass, with the idea of giving the people the tools to tell their own story.
I love that. That's amazing.
And I even have an idea which I'm exploring right now of creating a photography hub in Yaoundé with exactly that.
I was going to ask you what role do you think photography plays in creating social change?
Yeah, it's one of the key tools, really. Because, again, in my phone photography masterclass, we go through a lot of different things, and it's very hands-on, but a lot of it is creating awareness of what you want to convey with your pictures. And it's really the people who need to change. It's not only me who's trying to change the narrative of the visuals coming from the continent, but it's, of course, it's really in our hand to guide the viewer's eye. And photography is a very, very important tool to change the perception. If I may tell you about, I very recently launched together with the Piarist Fathers in Cameroon a campaign called Planting Peace, and it's an exhibition which has been very successful, and it's about portraits of 16 children, 8 from the conflict, the ongoing armed conflict in Cameroon, and 8 from the host community kids. So here you have portraits of children holding the peace plant and a quote of what peace means to them. And it is
amazing. Do you have any somewhere here that we can show?
I don't have them here. But I mean, you can maybe on this page here, I'm talking, here. It's called Planting Peace. And so these portraits are very powerful. It's these children and saying, peace to me means sleeping at night or going to school without fear.
Not hearing gunshots.
Not hearing gunshots. Yeah. And I have to say, this exhibition has, for the first time ever in Cameroon, sparked a conversation about peace. I have to say, the apostolic nuncio in Cameroon had a significant role in it because. And the U.S. Embassy facilitated as well an exhibition, and it's going global. These days, it's very hard to find a photographer like you who is just about the craft of photography. Usually, they incorporate a certain aspect of film or video. But how have you been able to just stay true to the craft? That's a very good question, because I get these requests all the time. UN agencies saying, "Oh, we need a photographer and then a videographer." I'm saying, so it's a completely different crafts. Yeah. And the professional standard that I have in photography, no way I can have that in film. So What I do, however, is what I call video stories. They're a minute and a half or 2 minutes long, sort of a slideshow based on my pictures with captions explaining the story. So,
And you show those like
that's
during
my
an
way around.
exhibition.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
How do you see your work evolving?
I see my work evolving in, I mean, always, you know, expanding.
Are there new stories or causes that you hope to capture?
Yeah, I mean, always more. Like the Planting Peace exhibition, I really love this campaign where you really use the visuals to change behavior, right? To get people to think, to have an impact.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, I'm exploring what it takes to create a photography hub in Yaoundé, where I could have like different African photographers come in for workshops and have like an annual photography show taking over the whole city, make
That's
the
a
city an
brilliant
outdoor exhibition.
Is Yaoundé?
There's nothing like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
The whole
yes,
Central Africa, there's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say some people will be attracted to a city because there's a hub there of photography,
Exactly.
or there's a culture of something that they wanted to like build upon.
Yeah.
But there's nothing, and
There's
you're just
nothing.
basically
It
creating
really-
things
and
from
that's-
scratch.
And that's actually the beauty, that you can really create something wonderful. Yeah.
Emily Pinna, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
taking time.
Thank you.